You're watching Let the Quran Speak, and now we answer your questions. If you have a question, visit our website, QuranSpeaks.com. Dr. Shabir, the question is, I love music and it helps me vent. I'm so tired of thinking that every time I listen to something I love, it's haram. I'm not trying to disrespect Islam, but I find it so upsetting that there is pretty much almost no halal entertainment for us. How do you respond to this question, Dr. Shabir?
Yeah. So before we answer the question directly, let's think about some broad principles. For us to say that something is haram in Islam, meaning prohibited, it must come from high authorities. The highest authority we know is God. So we ask ourselves, did God say anything about this? Now, some people try to say that some verses of the Quran speak about music. They refer to the 31st chapter of the Quran, Surah Luqman, where the story of Luqman is being told. And at the beginning of that chapter, it speaks about some people who purchase what's called lahw al-hadith, so as to misguide people from the revelation that was being given to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So lahw al-hadith here, they say this is music. Well, they can only say that music can be incorporated under this broader umbrella category of what is called lahw al-hadith. The lahw al-hadith means something that is of no use. It's something like, a pastime that is of no benefit, either to people in this world or in the life hereafter. So when you think of the life hereafter, if you're praying or fasting or so on, you're doing some kind of religious activity that'll benefit your life hereafter. If you're working out, you're exercising, you're earning a living and so on, all of that is beneficial for this life. So lahw al-hadith is like speech that has no bearing on either of these things. More so, the verse is saying that, the people were using that to detract from the message which came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So we have to imagine, as the Quran says elsewhere, that the disbelievers are instigating each other and says, وَالْغَوْ فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَغْلِبُونَ. When the Quran is being recited by the Prophet, peace be upon him, make some noise in the midst of it so that you can dominate the atmosphere. So people won't be able to listen to the Prophet, peace be upon him, reciting the Quran. So that's a very different thing that is being condemned here. It's not only that people are speaking of and using things that are of no benefit, but they are using it to detract from the message which came in the Quran. So you can hardly apply that to music. And now, thinking about whether music is beneficial or not, we know from experience that music has some benefit. And of course, one has to think about how beneficial it is, how much of it to use, and so on, everything in moderation. And then the type of music, is it benefiting you or harming you? What is it doing for you or doing to you? So one has to choose wisely. But, one cannot just simply in a blanket way classify all of music as lahw al-hadith. So we can't really pin this on the Quran. As for narrations from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who is our next highest authority, the references to him are either not so very clear or not very authentic. So you have in the lesser authentic narratives some condemnation of music, but we should ask, why isn't that condemnation in the most authentic forms of narratives which are related from him? It seems more like this is a later attitude that developed among Muslims, and they're trying to, get greater authority for it by attributing it back to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Perhaps not deliberately, but over time, people imagine things and trace it back to the Prophet, peace be upon him. Somebody says, okay, this is so true. So where do we get all truth from? It must come from the Prophet, peace be upon him. It must be that he's the one who taught us this from the very inception. And so they try to trace it back. Okay, I got it from my teacher, but my teacher didn't make things up. He must have got it from his teacher, who must have got it from his teacher, who must have got it from the Prophet. And so people rationalize things in this way. Now, sometimes the narrative is an authentic source, but it's not so very clear. For example, the narrative which says that the Prophet, peace be upon him, came to destroy musical instruments, or that people will, try to legalize musical instruments. But the term for musical instruments there would include what is called a daf in Arabic, a drum. drum. And it is known from many narratives that the drum was permissible, like at the times of wedding, at least on the days of Eid and so on. And we can hardly imagine that something would be like morally reprehensible, but you allow it on the day of Eid, right? Because the day of Eid is not only for celebration, it's for the worship of God, remembrance of God, and so on. So altogether, we should say that there is nothing clear and authentic, either from the hadith or clear from the Quran, that music should be prohibited. And so we can say to people, use of it as much as is good for you, the type that is good for you, and devote more time to the remembrance and the worship of God.
Thank you for this insightful and comprehensive answer to the question, Dr.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.